Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today's lecture is something which has been asked from me by a couple of students and junior doctors, because as you become more and more involved in the professional field, you need to showcase your qualities, your abilities, your personality, whether you are a good fit for the particular position or a location or a job situation or not. In that case, there is a comprehensive statement or a comprehensive document about your qualification, experience, and background, which is called Curriculum Vitae. So we're going to talk about that, and I'll try to share some of my personal experiences about that as well. So let's talk about it. So continuing with the basics. So when we talk about CV or Curriculum Vitae, it's an outline and detail about your background, experience, education, and what you can give back to that organization. So you have to showcase yourself in detail. So it's an outline, and it is different from resume, which is a more refined and not very long comprehensive statement about you or your skills. And there could be order of detail. It could be according, and what I would recommend whenever you're writing down a CV for yourself or writing down what you have done over the period of time, you have to be sure that that particular program or institution or job location you're applying for, what they are looking for. And it's always a match between the one who is applying and one who is taking the application. So if it's a good match, then it turns out to be a good experience professionally, educationally. But if it is not a good match, then it may not turn out to be a good experience. So, and many times the institutions or organizations, they have their outline of CV. So when you apply, you can look at their website and have the information the way they want to narrate or write down your details. It can be written in a more what we call conventional way, or it can be written in a non-conventional way as well, in which case you can write down your skills first or any particular detail initially in the CV, so it becomes more apparent and obvious to the one who is looking at the CV. And then the order of details according to what that particular position demands for. And what's the importance of CV? As I said, it's a reflection of you to that particular organization and institution. So you are not physically there, but your CV is what gonna give the idea to that organization who actually you are. So it is not only your educational background, it's not a detail of about your skills or your experience. It also involves what kind of personality you have, what kind of aptitudes or orientation you have. What is your not only education, but what's your background is, and some of your basic details are also shared based on the need in the application. So let's talk about that, each one of those. Coming to the introduction, so usually in this particular section, you write down the location of your current practice or job. You write down some of your family detail, where you're married or not, you have kids or not. It is to see whether you're gonna settle in that new place or not, and what you will need to settle well in that new place. Also, your contact information, because that institution want to get back to you, so there has to be an email, there should be a contact number to approach you to have more information if needed. As I said, it's a comprehensive detail of your educational background. So you usually start with the high school. You can write down about your college, university, what you have done during that period of time. But what they are looking for is how you gradually build up and came to this point where you are right now. What kind of grades you were getting during their high school, med school, or college or university, so they can kind of guess your trajectory for the future. Then comes the vocational detail in terms of your job, where you have done jobs in the past, what kind of responsibilities you have, what kind of responsibilities or was your output in terms of whether you were involved more with the teaching, with the clinical part, research part, and that helps again to find out whether you are a good match for that position you're applying for. So you're going to write down what kind of jobs you have done, what was your responsibilities, and I'm going to narrate more during the next section. So the next section is your practical experience. So after, usually this is particularly related to the doctors, but in other fields as well, after you finish your college or university, you tend to do internship or some training time. And after that, you are independent and practicing. So the previous section was about your internship and your training time. The next section is what kind of practical experience you have, what you can offer, what you are looking for when you are applying for a new job or a new organization. What is your aptitude? So you're going to show that what you are looking for in your practical experience, so that the next organization or institution have the idea about you. And as I was just saying, so in the same section, you can write down your experience, your responsibility details. You can share it with the employer, so they will have the idea what they can offer you. And at the same time, you have to see what they can actually offer and not. Because as I said, the whole purpose of CV is a reflection of you, whether you are a good fit for that particular position or job or not. The next section is to highlight or to show off. So you're gonna write down in this particular section whether you have some scholarships, you receive some honors on the way during high school, whether you will highlight it at certain forum, or you were having some particular position that was highlighted. So you're gonna narrate those, and this section actually continues on. So whatever honors you have over the period of time or scholarships, you keep adding them to your CV, and it becomes sometime a bigger document to review. Could be a couple of pages. As a doctor, I try to divide, because as a doctor, you have to be very well-rounded. There are many spectrum to a doctor. So it's not only that you are a clinician, or you are doing just the educational part, not only learning initially, but then you are trying to teach. But beside that, there are many other caps you have to carry on. So with passage of time, you can have administrative responsibilities. Once you are able to prove yourself in your administrative position, then you may have a leadership role. Then once you are going through that ladder of leadership, then there is a next level where you are actually teaching or educating the next generation of doctors and engineers, and letting them know how to achieve the goals in a shorter period of time and how they can improve themselves, which is mentoring. So as I said, there could be a clinician part of you, there could be educational part of you. One more part is research, depending on people who are interested in research. But with time, you tend to have some administrative, leadership, or mentoring responsibilities. Next is what you are doing, because the world has become a global village. So it's not only that you're doing things nationally, but what is your international participation? What you are trying to do in terms of education, in terms of research, how good of a clinician you are you presenting something internationally? Are you able to talk in an international meeting or not? How updated you are in terms of the upcoming researches? And that becomes a star for you if you are able to write down a few things in your national and international participation in part of the CV. Next, very important thing, especially for the junior doctors, if they are initially, these things come with time, your international, national participation, but what you can initially have in your CV is your community service or involvement. Were you part of any welfare or charity organization? If you're doing any part in that time when you're training or part of the training, please document it in your CV, because it means a lot that how much you care or what kind of care you can provide to the community, how much proactive you are in that case, because this is usually the services where you are not getting any monetary benefits. So I think it has a lot of value when an international employer look into your CV. Next important part is, which I will really recommend junior doctors and students to look for innovation. What can they do differently, which highlights you as a person? If there are 100 CVs or 500 CV or 5,000 CVs, how are you gonna be different among those 5,000 people, or maybe among a very few people who are able to show off? So try to do something different, or in a way that you have a bigger impact on the community in general. So, or you're benefiting the society in a larger scale. So try to be innovative. Not all the time you can come up with any innovative idea, but don't worry about that. This is not unusual. Not everyone gonna do innovation. It's something very hard. It comes with time and opportunity, and sometimes resources are also needed for that. So please be mindful, but do try to think out of the box. Next comes the extracurricular involvement. When it is about extracurricular involvement, I'll always say do document it in your CV, because it also gives the idea to employer about how healthy attitudes you have. So are you interested in sports? Or you like to watch sports? Or are you a family person? Or you're involved in any other like music or some other extracurricular activity, which means you are not only a bookworm, but you are also a very well-rounded human being, which really means a lot as somebody looks at your CV. So what I usually tell my doctors, colleagues, or juniors who work with me, that whenever you do anything, just make a Word document and keep documenting details, because later on you may forget about it. Any lecture you attended, any participation in an activity, just keep writing down in your Word sheet. And when you are devising a CV, you can have that detail all together in that CV, and it will become a good size CV for anyone to review. And as the world is getting more and more competitive, so it is very important that you highlight yourself in front of your peers and prove that you are not only a good human being, but also a great doctor, and you can give back to that organization what they're looking for. If you don't feel that you're a good fit, do let them know and try to look for some other job, some other position. In that way, you will not be lost, because once you join a place and realize that this is not what you're looking for, you're actually lost, and there is a lot of time waste in that case. So be mindful of this, and organizations look for the same. So it's more of a matching process. They're not trying to judge your education standard, which has already been judged by those exams and degrees which you have achieved on the way. Thank you very much. I feel this little presentation will be helpful for the junior doctors, for students who are trying to build their CV. Please do send me your questions in the comment box. I'm happy to do some other presentation pertaining to that for doctors who are actually looking for a bigger positions or looking for a higher positions. Thank you very much.